You are now entering the box. All right, we are on a new episode here of Inside the Box with Ron Kaszuk. Is that how you say your last name?
It's actually pronounced Kaszuk, but my family,
Kaszuk.
But my family though, when they got off the boat from Poland, somebody mispronounced it and said Kaszuk. So that's the way they say it. They actually say Kaszuk because they thought that sounded American.
Okay,
you know? I'm only second generation actually.
So one more time, Kaszuk.
Kaszuk, yes.
Ron Kaszuk. Okay, I've been saying it wrong. Well, it's spelled kind of. How's it spelled?
Kaszuk.
Yeah, so it's a tough one. But Ron is a local artist, graffiti artist primarily. Do you do any other kind of art? Really?
No, not really. I mean, I draw a little bit, but mostly 95% of what I do is spray paint.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of big things lately that we're going to talk about. Just some awesome projects. I'm sure you've seen some of them. First of all, Ron, I want to tell you I'm doing this. We are sponsoring Dancing with the Stars through the Art Association this year.
Really?
And they sent out like a questionnaire, and it was like just had a bunch of random questions on it for all the people because they asked me and my wife to dance in it. So one of the questions was like your favorite visual artist, and I put Ron. Now I'm already forgetting. Kaszuk. Yeah. Sorry. I'll get it. I've been saying Kaszuk for so long. Kaszuk. I put Ron Kaszuk. He's been doing a lot of cool things lately and just really appreciate the stuff he's been doing. So I just wanted to let you know I put you down for that.
Wow. You just made the hair on my arm stand up.
Well, I love it, man. I've always loved graffiti art. It's something that I've always thought would be cool to try, but I just, never really messed with it. I got so much stuff I'm always trying to learn and whatnot anyway. But so yeah, one of the big projects. Well, actually, before we get in that, let's talk about how you got into graffiti art.
I grew up in a neighborhood. I'm from the South Side of Chicago originally. Okay. And where I grew up, it was a gang neighborhood. And then like at some point in the mid '80s, you started to see more like colorful graffiti. And I was born in 1977, so it was at that point when I was in the mid '80s. That's when I was really starting to be able to go out with out my mom or dad or nothing like that, and explore the alleyways and see that stuff. And that's when it started. I started.
So you got a lot of inspiration from the city up there.
Yeah, just because it was right in my neighborhood, and like back then, I mean, like graffiti was like what you would see in like the movies. It was everywhere. It was literally just you would read the writing on the walls to know what's going on, and that's how I got into it. And then I started writing on the walls and getting in trouble, But besides that, though, one other thing, like my brother and his friends, when that started happening, they were graffiti artists. And my brother wasn't really into it for that long. He got into more on the gangbanging aspect and stuff like that. But for a while, some of his friends were the ones that they would come and leave their notebooks, and I would rip out pages and stuff like that when they weren't looking, and I would start tracing their stuff. So it was right in my own house.
It's an interesting thing because how it has progressed, you know what I mean, from just being gang related, street, tagging and stuff like that to it's a big thing now. I feel like, sorry, my dog might be sneaking up on you there for attention.
That's all right though. I like
she's a little office dog here. She's spoiled, gets to come every day, but it's an interesting progression on how graffiti art's kind of gone, because now it's definitely a big thing, in a lot of places. And I always thought it was cool as a kid when the trains would drive by and would be covered in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
still think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a neat spot. It's almost like they should just let them do it as long as it's not gang related. Like
I think there are some companies that do let them do it.
Really?
Yeah, because I've seen some of the more professional artists do full train cars, and the numbers are all professionally taped over, and then they just pull the paper and the tape back and all that stuff, and you
can just tell it was professionally done.
Yeah. There's no way that they did that in the middle of the night. You're talking those are 10 and 12-hour projects easily.
I always think it's crazy when some of the places you see graffiti art, I'm like, how in the hell did they get up there and get that?
Yes, yeah.
Like on the edge of a bridge or like on even some buildings, it's like,
man, they just climb.
Dedication.
Yeah,
man.
they're literally risking their lives sometimes. Yeah.
So what would you say was kind of the first, I don't want to say commercial project, but project where you were just like did it and you're like just I don't know, super proud of it, or just felt like, wow, I feel like this is awesome. I'm going to go somewhere with this.
Honestly, it was that ice deli right down the street down there, that zebra ice deli that you drive past over on Lawrence. I painted that up as it is right now, but prior to that, there was 2 different scenes on the side of it. There was a beach scene on one side, and then there was some graffiti on the other side. Now, the graffiti back then, I mean, you're talking more than 10 years ago I did that, maybe even 12 or 14 years ago. It was terrible compared to what I'm doing now, but I felt so good about it. Like I was just like, because I was working. There used to be a pizza place over there called Fratello's Pizza, and I worked there, and so I got to go past my own work every day, and I seen people that even though it was crappy, they really liked it. Yeah. And that was really the first one that it wasn't the first piece I ever sold, but that was the first one where I was like, wow, I can do something, like. So I was taking the bus to work, and then the bus drivers, I would tell them that I did that, and they're like, oh, I was wondering who did that, and they were excited about it. And then
that's awesome.
Every now and then other people on the bus would chime in about it, and that's when I knew I was kind of really on to something.
That's so cool. Well, I've always loved art, you know what I mean? Obviously, I got into it in a different way with graphic design. That was kind of how I got started with where we're at now, was doing graphic design for, played a lot of video games, and everybody would have their little avatar. Yeah. So I started learning graphic design so I could make little avatars for all the online forums and our teams and stuff, you know what I mean? We were doing video game competing back before it was even a thing, you know what I mean? Really a big thing with back. What year would I have been? I was high school. I graduated in 2004, so it was 2003, right around there, 2004, and that's kind of how I got into graphic design.
I've seen some of those logos because I'm a huge fan of minor league baseball logos, and so one day I was searching those out just to see what's out there because the teams are always toying with the logos, or even they might just change them for 1 week to support an event or something. I came across a bunch of those logos that you're talking about, the gaming logos. Yeah. And because I remember finding one, it looked like some kind of knight, and I was like, what is this? And I was I was trying to see what Then I started researching, going to the little links underneath, and I'm like, these are gaming logos. I'm like, what is this all about, man? So yeah,
because it was you'd make your avatar, and that was before now they have on Snapchat you have bit emojis and your little avatar guys. There's way more popular now, but that's kind of how I started doing graphic design. So that's cool. So so that was your first, would you consider kind of big project for you at the time?
Out here.
What year was that about?
Man, that had to be.
I'm not very good at timelines.
That had to be 2007, 2008. Well, no, that would be 2000. Sometime between 2008 and 2010. Okay, that's when that was.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that pizza place you were talking about. What was it called?
Fratello's.
Sounds familiar.
They had a deep dish pizza there. They didn't stay open long. There was 2 owners, and one of the owners quickly picked up on the business wasn't going to be successful.
Not going to work.
Yeah, and so he kind of skipped out on it. And then the other one, it turned out he had some personal problems, and he just couldn't manage the business. And,
I'm a huge pizza lover, so
I had
to double check about that.
Yeah, I am. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I was actually they were, when they bought the place, it was already priorly a pizza place, so all the pans and all that stuff were already there, and they were trying to learn about the deep dish. And I came in being from the south side of Chicago. I'm like, no, this is all wrong. Your proportions are wrong. And then so once, and that's what I did. I showed them how to do it, and then it started selling, man. And then so I'd give them little ideas for the pizza every now and then, and they'd taste it, and we'd put out free samples on the counter. And if we got good feedback, we put it on the menu.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Customer feedback.
I actually almost opened up a pizza place before I started this.
Really?
Yes. You know where Jeremy Bredemeyer's got Hair of the Dog downtown? The barber shop.
Yeah, the corner right there.
Yeah, Jeremy can tell you that him and I we were both looking at that spot at the same exact time.
Really?
He was my barber, and I was telling him, I'm like, man, I'm looking at this spot for a pizza place, and he's like, oh man, he didn't tell me that. What he told me was, I think you got to buy that whole building. You can't just rent the spot. And but I was already toying with the idea of doing this, so I put all my effort into this instead. And next thing you know, he's opening the barber shop, and I'm like, oh man, I started shaving my head.
That's a cool spot there. I've been in there once or twice. What year did you move down here from Chicago?
2006. I got here just after the tornadoes happened, I understand, and then I was here for like a week before the ice storm hit in 2006.
Yeah, it was a couple crazy events there.
Yeah.
I was in that was the first tornado I've ever like been in. I remember I was downstairs living at my dad's house watching TV, and he just ran downstairs all of a sudden. He's like, "It's about to hit." I'm like, "What?" And then it sounded like a freight train going
really?
by. It was crazy, yeah.
Wow.
And then we walk outside. I've never seen it so pitch black. There's trees, and then we got a flashlight. I shined them up. There was a tree down in front of our house and a tree in back of our house, so we were completely like boxed in. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
But anyway, so that's awesome, man. So kind of how you did that ice deli. Did you get anything like? How quickly did things kind of progress from there? Were you able to find some more gigs?
No, not right away. I mean, the seriousness of everything that you see now has really actually only happened in about the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't ready as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying.
I was in the middle of culture shock coming from the south side of Chicago. And then not only that, but like, man, I was drinking, I was getting high, I wasn't taking my relationships in life seriously.
Nope.
All the things that, that a lot of people struggle with, I was struggling with. And so I wasn't ready to receive it yet. It wasn't until I moved to Athens that it really took off, which is really weird that here I am in a town of 2,000 people and all of a sudden my graffiti career becomes a career.
Yeah.
No, that's when it took off. I started working for a guy out there who's now a really good friend of mine who actually works for me now. He put a boot on my neck. He wouldn't take my bullshit no more and started teaching me about business until the point where I sat him down and said that, hey, I got to go. I got to start my own business. And then once I started, when I told him about this whole idea for hashtag REK services, just as a T-shirt, and I seen his eyes light up at the severity of my idea of how big it was, I knew that it could work.
Yeah.
And so I just ran with it, man, and I just never stopped. I started telling everybody everywhere I went. It doesn't matter if I'm in the gas station, the grocery store, if I'm in a customer's house.
That's what you got to do.
Yes, and I just next thing you know, I'm branded. But it was a whole bunch of things that led up to me being branded. It wasn't just me on foot. It was a lot to do with social media and stuff too.
Right. Speaking of you driving by your, spot over there, or when you were seeing the ice deli thing all the time, I worked at Ace Sign Company right out of college.
Oh, yeah.
And we did, I started doing all these designs and vehicle wrap designs. And I remember one of the first things I did that I just thought was so cool was WQLZ had we were working on a design for their vehicle wrap. And, everybody, there was a couple designers working on options, and everybody kind of had these conservative options. And I'm like, man, this is WQLZ. It's got to feel like you got to look at it and feel loud, like rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just took a sound wave and I just blew it up on the side of the vehicle, and then turned it into their colors, and I just made it kind of crazy, and they loved it, and they ended up going with it. And I felt so good about it. I was like, man, that is so cool.
That's actually really cool.
Because you see it out at all these events, the state fair, and they had it for years. That wrap, and it was really cool. And then after that, then we started designing signs for people, and it wasn't I didn't get to have like as much fun with the designs because it wasn't like as crazy. You know what I mean? But it was neat seeing them around town, and I was like, man, it's cool. I designed that sign, you know what I mean? And,
absolutely.
So I totally get where you're coming from with that feeling, knowing you did that and just feeling proud of it, seeing it out there. So you're in now I know, let's talk about your most recent project, and then we'll kind of go backwards a little bit, but that Tacology, man, that's awesome.
Man, I appreciate that.
That was so cool.
That was such an intense project. We were so pressed for time.
How did that work out? Had they seen some of your other stuff?
They seen me. They actually seen me in the Illinois Times because back I don't remember, maybe October.
I remember that. You sharing that.
They put me on the cover of the Illinois Times, gave me a 2-page spread. Which
how'd that work out?
Amazing. The hair on my arm is standing up, and honestly, I'm holding back emotion. So if Illinois Times, if you're listening to this, thank you so much. You really helped change the direction of my life.
How did it come about, the Illinois Times spread? Did they just reach out, or?
No, actually, I reached out to them to give them another story about somebody else that I was working with, and they decided that I was the story.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. God's funny, man. I wasn't intending for that. And not that I didn't want to be part of the story, don't get me wrong, but I just thought there was another company that was doing some cool stuff that needed some recognition. And they're like, well, hold on, tell us about you a little bit. How did you get involved in this? And then next thing you know, they took down my information. And less than an hour later, man, the editor called me back himself and said that, we'd love to sit down and talk with you.
That's cool.
And then 2-3 days later, I'm sitting down with Jay Wheeler, and we're in a bar and having a beer, and he's taking notes on me, and I was like, wow, man, this is really crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
very neat. Yeah, actually we have some pictures pulled up from that. Ryan, you want to pull those up and we can talk about them a little bit?
Oh wow, cool.
He'll pull those up on the video here, but. That one's not Tacology. We'll come back to those. Let's jump to that Tacology real quick. Yeah, some of those skull ones. So jump back. Yeah, here's some of the progression of how it starts. So how in your graffiti's so crazy to me because the can is spraying out. Like it's not a line by any means. It's not like a straight line. So coming up with I've seen in Vegas when people do it and they'll use the edges of paper and stuff like that. How do you figure when you're doing something like this? Do you have a main plan, or do you just kind of start going at it and you just?
Well, all right. So first of all, I like we were talking about here how you mentioned you like your podcast to be around an hour because you want to dig into whoever the person is. I do the same thing with my clients. Is I sit down and I talk to them and I really try to see what they want. But then I have to sell them on the idea that I'm going to give you your vision, but my way.
Yeah.
And then I go into a simple app that I have on my phone that's similar to Photoshop. It's called Pixlr. And then I'll take a picture of the actual wall, and then I'll superimpose their idea over it. I'll just figure out if I have to draw it in by hand or if I
so you just give them a
rough thing, and I say from here on in, this is the point where it's going to get scary.
And there's got to be some trust.
Yeah, and you trust me. But at the same time, I also at Tacology, they'll tell you I'm open to it. If we get to a certain point and you say this isn't it, my theory is it's only paint. We can fix it.
Yeah.
And so
go ahead and progress through these skull shots here.
Yeah, that was a really tough. That wall itself was extremely tough to do.
Well, it's got to. I personally, can understand. There's the steps to it because I know how it is, even with graphic design. But as a customer, seeing what's going on, is this gonna turn out? What's he doing here?
that actually happened a lot there. So their landlord was very much involved in this project, and he kept coming through and questioning, what the hell is going on here? And I was trying to sell him on the idea of getting it to that point right there.
It looks so cool.
And that's actually my favorite one out of all of them. And that's the almost done portion of it right there. But that's my favorite skull out of all of them.
Go ahead, keep going, Ron. I think there's a triple picture, isn't it, of all of them done? So did they say they wanted the 3 skulls on the wall, or did you kind of talk to them all right, what if we did these here? And
well, initially they came to another artist prior to me, and told him that what they wanted. They wanted this kind of Andy Warhol theme with them in the boxes, and repetitive. And I convinced them. I tried to sell them on the idea of because what I do is bigger and bolder, and I said let's go with less is more. And we initially were going to take the middle skull, and I had this magenta paint that I was going to paint around it and give them that box effect. But once we got to the end and all the different colors throughout the restaurant, we decided that doesn't need to be done on this wall. That this wall is great the way it is,
and it gives the focus on those. You know what I mean?
Yes.
On those skulls. Yeah.
Yes, and the magenta just wasn't needed. They have magenta in other parts of the restaurant, and it just wasn't needed.
Go ahead, Ryan. Let's see. Let's click to a couple other. Now that looks. I sent that to, or I was showing my brother. Actually, he was in town. I don't know if you saw that podcast we did with him. He was in town. He works for Microsoft out in Seattle, and I was showing him some of your stuff because I was like, man, I'm going to have him do some stuff for me someday when we get our own place. And I was like, look at how he did this this Tacology word. I was like, I was like, it looks neon. He's like, that's not neon. And I was like, no, man, that's spray paint. Isn't that crazy? It looks like a neon freaking sign.
That was so nerve-wracking. That's actually the first time I've ever done that style.
Say, have you ever tried that before?
No. They wanted that, and it's a husband and wife couple that owns that restaurant, and the wife really, really wanted that, and she just wouldn't budge on that. I couldn't convince her otherwise.
So was it a first try? Did you have to redo it at all, or did you?
No. That's it. That's the first try, man. I literally just before I went up on the scaffolding to start that. You see the scaffolding in the picture right there. I went over into the corner and I grabbed a box. And I checked it out, and I could see he was really nervous about my try. But what I hadn't done though at that point was switch the caps on my paint to get the actual desired effect. I just wanted to make sure I can make the colors blend the way I needed them to blend.
So the caps, you just switch them out to affect the width of like the spray.
Yes. So if you think about like a mechanical pencil, they come in 0.2, 0.5, 0.7, 0.9.
Interesting.
It's the same thing with the spray paint caps. I can order all different types of them and get the desired effect.
Are they all just different widths of spray, or is there any kind of weird things you can do with them?
You can get calligraphy caps. Then you can get caps that actually, like if this was your spray paint can, that actually go around.
Him showing you.
That actually go around.
Switch to the camera of him showing the bottle he's talking here about.
Let me know.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
All right. So it would actually, there's a cap that actually goes around it and sits on the edge of it, and then you can have whatever cap you want on this, but it actually sprays out through a hole right here, so you get even the most fine line that you could possibly get with spray paint.
Oh.
And now it gets a little messy, like paint
fills
does.
Up.
Yeah, and then you got to get rid of it and whatnot, but it gets you that desired effect. So there's all types of stuff and tricks, and then I will bust out cardboard and stuff like that, and tape when I need to. I mean, whatever's gonna get the job done is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Such a weird technique to do that stuff and work with those caps.
But that neon one though. So let me tell you, there's an artist out there that influenced that entire style, and I studied him over and over and over again. His name's Adam Fu, F-U, just Adam Fu. You can put him into any social media. His stuff will come out, and his neon's much more elaborate than what I did there. He puts all these drips and adds a lot more to it. But I was just going for the straight neon light effect, and that's what they wanted.
Like a neon sign.
Yes, that's exactly what they wanted. But I studied him, man, like crazy. I mean, I was pausing his YouTube videos and to see if I could see the brands of paint that he was using.
Yeah.
If I could identify what caps were on the top of his paint.
Does the brand of paint make a pretty big difference?
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Yeah. Like if you were to go to any hardware store here.
Do they even carry like what you would want to use typically?
No, places like Hobby Lobby they do. Hobby Lobby and I forget what the other art store is, but there's art stores that carry it, but mostly I order over the internet because the stuff that you get in the hardware store, it's already got a clear coat in the paint. So your paint's a little diluted anyways, but that clear coat's going to give you an undesired shine, especially in a closed area like this. That light's it's gonna shine off of it. It's gonna lose the effect. Whereas the stuff that I buy doesn't have the clear coat, and it's got 2 to 4 times the amount of pigment that other paints do. So it goes a lot further. It's a little more expensive, but it goes a lot further. Lasts longer, and then I can put whatever clear coat I want over it. I don't have to have a clear coat that shines.
Huh. Interesting. How about that bathroom stall? Is that it? Tacology?
It is.
I haven't been in there yet. I've wanted to go in. I tried to go like 3 or 4 times with my brother, but they open like later in the day. I think or something.
Their food is so good. I'm not even kidding. I tried some of their tacos.
Oh yeah, it says taco all over.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I tried some of their carnitas, and I grew up in a Mexican neighborhood. Like I wasn't expecting to sit down and have their tacos give me an emotional experience. I'm serious,
well, it's
man.
probably that much more after you being part of it and everything.
Well, I actually tried them before we even started the project while they were still on 6th Street. But yeah,
did they close that one down then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But this now, all right. So I put the work in on this, but the the wife, this was her idea. She's from New Jersey, and
I think it looks awesome. It's
yeah,
so cool.
And I appreciate that, man. And she told me what she wanted. And,
how many times did you write the word taco, you think?
Oh my! I don't know how many times, but so that's in the men's room. But if you go in there now, it's going to look different. The stalls, the actual stalls are installed.
Oh
right
yeah,
now. But each wall, I mean, you're looking at 12 hours of me in there going up and down a ladder with all these different colors of paint.
That is crazy.
Writing the word taco as many times as I could.
That's so funny. Look, it turned out amazing, though, man. That's
I appreciate
so cool.
it, man.
Go ahead and jump back real quick, Ryan. I got to tell you, one of my favorite things. Here, scroll down and see if we come across this here. Where is it? Keep going, keep going, keep going. I love the Mario and all that stuff, but I love the keep going. Oh, where is it? Come on. There it is, the Norwal.
Oh, man.
Go over that. I freaking love that. That's so cool.
You know what? So there's that. So that's not actually my original design.
Really?
No, there's a Springfield artist named Brian Hamilton. Him and I used to do a lot of illegal graffiti together, going up and down the train lines and just wherever we wanted to paint. And we did a bunch of public art together. This was his stuff. I was just creeping his page one day, and I was like, "Hey, man, you care if I paint that narwhal?" I'm like, "I got a really good idea for it." And
yeah.
And so I
he just had a similar like looking thing, and you just kind of
no. I mean, other than the drips, the shape, the actual shape of the narwhal was all. He just had it sketched out. There was no color or anything on it.
Oh, okay.
So
you added all the color and everything.
Yeah, and the only difference is I made the eye look just a little bit more like angry, like kind of or focused. I don't know if you will, angry or focused, but.
That's cool though. That's freaking awesome. The Norwal's always kind of been a funny thing. I always think about the elf.
Yes, me too. Hey, Mr. Narwhal.
So I saw that. I was like, hey, Mr. Narwhal.
Yeah. My daughter loves it too, man.
Is that in your house?
Yeah. We actually broke up. That's in my ex's house. Well, actually, no. That's actually painted over, and what it's painted over with is now on Timbaland's music label.
Okay, yeah, because you just did what was it that you did for them? Is there anything we could pull up for that?
Yes.
Or what's the easiest way to do that?
Let's see. Scroll
up. Is it newer?
Yeah, I think up. Yeah. Let's see. It's got.
I remember you were talking about that getting done.
Keep going. It's actually that picture right there. There's probably a better picture on my Instagram.
No, to the left, Ryan. I think
that one right there. Now that's what was in the Activator magazine, but
so that's that wall where the Norwal was, though.
Yes, that's it right there. That was actually done. So there's a band named MAKUTA, and I tell you what, man, MAKUTA. First of all, they're just amazing people. They were performing out at the state fair at the same time when I performed out there last year.
Did you do live painting?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Where'd you do that at?
I forget the name of the building. It was kind of in the back. There was a beer garden. And
did you do it on a building?
No, I worked in collaboration with their carpenters, and we built big frames. And then I went to the hardware store and got giant canvas tarps, and I rolled them out in my driveway and primed them. And then we put them on these big wood frames, and I painted stuff and then donated it all.
I didn't even know you did that. That's cool.
Yeah. And so MAKUTA, they were out there at the same time that I was, and I wanted to go see them. And I first of all, I didn't even know they were on a major record label. I knew they were a band. I went onto YouTube first, and there was a song on there that I really liked. And I was like, I'm going to go check these guys out. But it just didn't work out that way with my schedule and their schedule. So I hit them up on Twitter, and I told them that, I really liked them, and I'm sorry I didn't get to go see them. They're like, you know what? We wanted to come see you, too. It was really weird. The hair on my arm standing up again. I was like, are you serious? Here's this band, and like, what are the chances of that?
Yeah.
And so we hit off a relationship, and it just became very genuine. I was going through a lot of stuff because, like I said, this is in my ex's house. And I would say this was about the time where my relationship started falling apart. And I got to be very open and honest with them, where I didn't have to talk to my friends or family, and they didn't have to look at us different. I can just tell them, here's what's going on, and they weren't giving me any kind of judgmental feedback about her. They were just super loving to me. And then all of a sudden, man, 6-7 months later, they're like, hey, we're doing this collaboration project with Grammy Award-winning artist Janis Ian. Would you like to do the cover art? And I was like, I literally fell to my knees and started crying because by that point I knew that I actually knew that Timbaland was their boss. I knew that they were working.
Research.
Yeah. Well, just not only that, but also from talking to them, and all the, I mean, it's they don't even name drop when they talk. They're just saying, oh, I was just over, at this house or that house, and like, they're doing stuff just months ago. They did in one room with Justin Timberlake and Justin Bieber, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, they're just they're a military family from Quincy, Illinois. And then like in the middle of before this project was released, now because the band it was 4 people, it was the mom and her son and 2 daughters, and then in the beginning of this whole COVID thing, mom had bad kidneys and she went to the hospital for it. And the son was approved to give her a kidney, but they had all these COVID restrictions on the hospital and wouldn't let him in, and she died.
Oh my God.
And so then when we went through all this together, I mean, like I wasn't expecting to fall in love with a group of people, and then being so affected by her death, and like so, like I don't know, man, we got really close through this project, and
that's crazy.
It changed my entire life, man.
So
seriously.
Is the cover just the art, or is that it right there with the ground also, like the running written out?
Yeah, with the running written out, because the name of the song is Running.
Yeah.
And then they superimposed over it with featuring Janis Ian on there. That was the only other thing that we did not include in the art itself. But getting to that point, now I mean, typically me painting a wall like that's a 1 to 2 day project, but that really turned into like an 8-month thing because. They had to go back and forth with their management, and then they also were looking for a very particular record album feel.
Yeah.
And like just little things like you notice like the shadow on the ceiling right there.
Right.
Like so what you don't see on the other side of this room, because this is a back bedroom in that house, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is I've got lights and everything set up, and I don't have like fancy lights like this. I mean, I had to use what I had.
Construction lights or something?
No. A friend of mine works for a company. The company in town, Resource One.
Yeah.
And so a lot.
I got a really cool bench from them for one of our Simply stores.
So the lights that you would find under a big over the desktop or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The small. I got a bunch of those neon lights. I had one of them shining into a paint tray that was that was coated with yellow paint.
Oh,
I had one of them.
Effect out there.
Yes,
yeah.
And then and then I had a lamp where I took like a blue, clear blue file folder, and I put it over a lamp, and I had another light shining on a blue door. Got
creative with it.
Yeah, and then like even to get that, because they really liked that shadow. Uh-huh. So that wasn't just that wasn't what we found out when we got to that point where they said they liked it. They liked that from one shot, but that running wasn't in there. They're like, "Can you recreate that?" And I was like, "Let me see." And and so what I found out what was going on, that shadow was only happening when I moved the fan a little bit. And so I had to move the fan a little bit and then get back into the same exact position.
It's like blurred just slightly.
Yeah. That I all did with the editing afterwards.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
So do you have a copy of the physical?
No, not yet. But the only reason I don't
even know if they have physical ones these days.
They do have physical ones. As a lot of their fans are in countries all over the world, so they do have the physical ones. I just don't have it because these people do not know how to stop. I'm serious, man. Every time I talk to them, they're on the road, they're doing something. They'll call me every few weeks, and they're actually in the car traveling from one destination to the other. Yeah. And they're all on one phone talking about, "Hi, Ronnie."
Nice.
And it's really cool. But that's the only reason I don't have the physical copy is because I haven't pressed them for it because I just I understand the grind. You
that's
know what I'm saying?
Though.
And they're really all about that grind. They don't stop, man. They're blown, like in the UK, they're blowing up. They're big in Japan.
I'll have to check it out. Check them out. I've never heard them.
Yeah, well, you will. I mean, give it time. Matter of fact, they just did a commercial with Ducati. They did a commercial with Wells Fargo.
Nice.
So I'd imagine eventually at some point it's going to get into the movies and stuff like that. Yes. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump out of that, Ryan. Are you? Okay, yeah. Go ahead and jump out of that real quick. Let's. Now you did some. I saw a super cool. I showed this one to my brother because he's big into video games. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit, Ryan. It was that like theater room. Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, like those right there, Ryan.
That's actually
is that just at someone's house? I take it.
No, that's at a company called Clean Impact here in Springfield. It's a commercial cleaning company.
Oh, okay.
And so when they bought this building, this room there was mirrors on these walls, and there used to be mats on the floor.
Go ahead, scroll through a couple of them there.
And it was a gym. Okay. And so this was actually the project I was calling the Illinois Times about. I'm like, you got to see what these guys are doing, man. So now there's video games. If you could, one of the pictures you can see that it's all set up for outlets. Like right there, this one right here. Yeah. You can see where it's all set up for outlets right there. That's all video games and stuff there now, like actual arcade games all the way around the room. Yes, wow. And then
what's the name of the company?
Clean Impact. It's owned by John Rowe and Kirk Kellis.
Interesting. They were just looking for something fun to do with the space?
They were looking for something fun for their employees to do.
That's
now,
awesome,
and not only that, but these guys. All right, so these guys they're just big kids, man. You know, they're super smart. They know how to make money.
I feel like I'm a big kid.
Yeah, but they wanted to, instead of having, because they were going to do an employee training room there. They're like, but why do we need to set up mock toilets and this and that to teach people how to clean? You know, we can do that on site. They're like, let's give them a place where they can bring their families and have fun and stuff like that.
Cool.
You know?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Very neat.
So that was an extremely challenging project too, man. It might not look like it, but those walls are tall.
No,
I think I want to say they're 16 feet on one side and like 19 feet on the other.
Any kind of big mural, I just don't even. It's hard for me to even fathom like doing it. Like even something that big, just even a wall. Like it's just like, man, where do you even start? You know what I mean? And I've just never done it, so it's hard for me to picture doing it.
It's hard for me, and this is what I do with my life. Like I come in there and I sell the project, knowing that I can do it. But then when it gets to that day, I'm like, man, I'm just so overwhelmed, and they don't know it, but like I'm shaking on the inside. You know
nervous.
What I'm saying?
No, I get it for sure.
You know,
that's cool, man. What would you consider like your favorite? You know, do you think that that album artwork was like your favorite work so far, or what would you say?
Man, it's tough to. I would actually probably say that St. Louis one, and I'm not even a fan. I'm not. First of all, I don't even watch sports in general, but I'm from Chicago. I definitely wouldn't like the Cardinals.
That thing is pretty cool.
You know, I think I really I didn't go off any drawing or anything on this. I actually went off actual photographs on this one, and I had to bring that comic book feel to it. And I think looking back on it, I think there's things that I could have improved on. But that's one of my favorite ones for the simple fact that one of my idols who really influenced me went and not only liked it on Instagram, but then put the fire emoji underneath it. And I was just like, wow, man.
Isn't that funny?
Bro, I cried like a little bitch. I really did, man. Cool. I was just
I remember one time I posted it was just a picture of a speaker. Like it's just a cool picture I took of a speaker, so I posted it on there. And a DJ that I wasn't even super familiar with at the time, Chami, TCHAMI, I think it is, commented on it and liked it. And I don't remember if he commented, but he definitely liked it, because one of my buddies that's a DJ messaged me. He's like, dude, Chami just commented on your picture. And I'm like, what? I'm like, who's that? Man. And I went and looked. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, that is pretty crazy. And I didn't. And now, since then, I listen to him a lot. He's like house music DJ, but that is a cool. I like the Cardinals. I think the reason I like them is just because I grew up and my buddy's dad had like tickets, so he'd take us down there. You know what I mean? So I kind of grew up seeing them and stuff. But it's so much cool stuff. Let's see what else we got here, Ryan. Let's scroll up a little bit. Any other projects that would be interesting in your head to kind of talk about? That Dream Big's awesome. I love that.
Well, that Punk Taco one right over there. Can you see that? The Spider-Man one? Go over to the right. All the way right there. Yeah. That was another one that was really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
So that guy, Adam Walenta, He actually wrote the Public Enemy comic book.
Oh, really?
And then he created an all ages graphic novel called Punk Taco. And I know it looks like I'm advertising for him here, and I guess I kind of am. But I ran across him on Twitter, and he just seemed really genuine and cool. He didn't seem like he was, trying to kiss anybody's ass or nothing like that.
Yeah.
And didn't care if people liked his views or not. And I really liked that. And he had this Kickstarter for Punk Taco, and we got involved in it. And then I got the book. And I was like, whoa, this is actually really cool. I didn't know what to think of it until it actually got there. And I was like, I really like this, man. He did exactly what you would expect a comic book creator to do, was he took modern times and put it into his story. And I was like, all right, man, because he's even got a character in there at the time that I'm pretty sure is depicting Trump, and then his views, against it.
Yeah.
But then he was at New York Comic-Con, okay?
I've never been to one of those. I've always wanted to go.
I've never been to one either. But while he was there, he sold out of the book.
Wow.
And then still had to be there. He's contracted to be there, and he drew that Spider-Man, and I was like, dude, that is dope. I'm like, can I paint that on my wall? How would you like to see that in spray paint? And then sometime, I showed it to him and all that, and it got a lot of love. And then this one here, this was just him randomly. This was probably like a year or so later, just randomly retweeting this stuff because he liked it, man. That was
cool.
That was something that I really had a lot of fun doing. As you can see,
so that's in that same room.
Yes, because what you're seeing in the corner there, that's actually a hand that I spray painted on next to the narwhal later.
Okay.
That's actually what you see there was part of my tattoos here and here, and then the hand all colorful to match that, holding a can of spray painting the narwhal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What was I just thinking? I was going to ask you something about that. I totally slipped my head though. Well, anyway, sorry. That's cool though, man. That's cool. It's nice that you like find something that you like, and then you either ask to paint it or paint something that goes along with it, and then look, this guy shares it, and it just what I mean. It's a good way to get exposure. Yes. Now I know it costs you money with the paint and everything to paint something like that, but
yes and no. I mean, like sometimes it doesn't really cost me anything because. So when I go into a large job, it's like any other construction job. I mean, there's costs involved,
Mm-hmm.
And then all the paint that's left over, I get to keep. And so, like a lot of times,
you got some leftover stuff. Sometimes.
Some left over. I'm sitting on like 700 cans of paint right now. That are paid for by other people.
How do you store and organize all?
I could actually answer that very particularly. I store them in milk crates
because it can't get cold or frozen, right? So you got to have it somewhere.
No, right now it's actually in my bedroom because they're locally, because of businesses being closed and whatnot. Storage units are just ate up everywhere. Well, there's some available, but I need temperature control.
Right.
So they're in my bedroom right now, like literally stacked up in a corner. And so I sort them all by colors and shades of colors, and each milk crate holds exactly 20 cans when you put it in there, so I can look at them and go 20, 40, 60, 81.
Know what you got.
I know exactly what I got. And
when you're painting inside like a room. One thing that I'm curious of with spray paint is I feel like it would get everywhere. How hard is that to control?
Not hard at all. What REK Services is actually a full service painting company that offers graffiti as a service.
Oh, okay.
So I can come, but I just don't advertise that as much anymore because the art has taken off. But I come in and paint your whole entire house. So I'm a professional painter as well. So,
interesting. Okay.
So I'm taped
because
off.
I've seen you have some like tables and like different other stuff you've done too.
Yes. So I'm coming in with all the proper tarps and plastic and tape, paper, whatever the case may be. I'm going to protect your house the same way any other painter would protect your house. But I also create an airflow out of the house. I've got fans and stuff like that, and snail fans they use to dry the floors, and I'll create
keep the extra.
Well, that way it takes it all right out of the house. But the overspray of the cans, like if you go to can you go to that one where the ladder and the scaffolding is right there? Yeah. So to see how far out I got the paper taped on the floor there.
That's all you need.
That's all I need, because everything that I'm going to spray is going to fall directly down. And spray paint is made with a powdered pigment. Well, most of your paints start off with a powdered pigment, but spray paint's mostly powder mixed with gases and stuff like that. And so by the time it actually hits your floor, the products that I use, I don't even have to actually protect, like this rug right here. If we were painting in here, whatever falls under this rug, you're going to be able to vacuum off. If on a regular floor, you'll be able to sweep most colors. But the red will stain. The red will stain. We found that out the hard way.
Is that different with different spray paints, like the stuff you might buy at the hardware store or something? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, even the stuff that you buy at the hardware store, whatever you spray out, it's still going to be a powdered pigment when it hits the floor. But I put the paper anyways, because besides that, I also, like, once I get the painting and I'm shaking up the cans, I spray away from me, or every now and then the cap will get clogged up and it'll just spurt out, and it's like, oh man, and then it's all over the floor and whatnot.
You gotta have some area there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I take all the proper precautions to protect everything.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's during all that COVID stuff, I had hit you up about possibly doing like my daughter and son's wall in their rooms that we were doing, and it just didn't work out. And I was like, well, we got to get moved in here, you know what I mean? So we just got moved in, and you with all the, what was it? Did your girlfriend or somebody at the time, you were like, I gotta isolate, man, and I was like,
she worked out at the villas. She worked out at the villas when that whole outbreak was going on, and so we absolutely did. We had to be extra careful, man.
I appreciate that.
There were people around us, because I mean, you see all over social media that there's clearly a lot of people that were not affected,
right?
And so they think because they weren't affected, nobody's affected, but that wasn't the case around us. People were actually dying. People were really getting sick. Me and my daughter actually got it. We were down. We had the whole no taste thing. It wasn't exactly no taste. It was everything tasted like almost kind of sweet. It was really weird, and everything smelled and tasted exactly the same. It didn't matter what you put in your mouth.
Interesting. I can't imagine.
It was terrible.
So
it was. We were sleeping we couldn't get comfortable anywhere but on the hard floors.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know.
That's so weird. My wife got it, and she lost her smell. But none of us got it. Nobody else in the house.
Nobody else in the house got it for us either. It was just me and my daughter.
Yeah, and somebody got in an argument with me. I think it's because they lost like a loved one to it. And I don't remember what I said. I said something. And I'm like, look, man, I understand that some people are affected by it or that are higher at risk. And I think those people should be extremely careful. I was like, I still wear my mask out and everything. I wear it when I'm out in public. I'm respectful of other people. But I also feel like all these small businesses can't be forced to be closed down. It's America. Why are you forcing people to be closed? You go back to
it was either the middle of August or the middle of September. And this can be fact checked that Sweden officially came out into the news and claimed herd immunity already. People just
what does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
That means enough people had got it that nobody else was really getting sick.
Okay.
But nobody was dying anymore either.
Yeah.
And I think they still had some deaths, but not like what other places were seeing. They just quarantined. They didn't shut down their entire economy.
Yeah, people can choose. If you're worried about the risk is there. Let them know that you could die if you get this. And then help the people that do want to stay home. Figure out some sort of make sure they're getting food. Make sure they're getting this. But just there's so much like depression and suicide and child abuse and alcohol abuse and it's just
absolutely.
Crazy.
I would firmly say that all these restrictions and keeping everybody home it would be the main reason that my relationship ended.
Yeah.
We were just
well, it's tough. I mean,
some people can be alone together all the time and some people can't. We were both very strong, independent people, and
it gets stressful just being locked in your house.
It does. From reading, I know that I'm not the only one that went through that.
Yeah,
and it caused so many people so many problems that just didn't need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Well, anyway, we'll move away from that. But yeah, crazy times we're living in here.
For sure.
So what's next, man? You got anything lined up that you could share or that you're thinking about, or what do you want to do? Any personal projects you're thinking about?
Well, my whole whiteboard is filled with projects. I've got projects to come. But where I want it to go is, man, I'm looking to go to Hollywood, man. I really am. You know, you see graffiti.
Like, you want to move out there?
If that's what I need to do, sure.
Everybody's leaving California.
Well, no, but like, so I mean, you
you
see all kinds of movies and TV shows that does have you know, graffiti
see what
aspect in
you're
it.
seeing,
You know, and I want to be the artist in there. You know, like
That'd
if you go
be
back
cool.
to I don't know if you ever watched Entourage.
Yeah.
But you know, you remember
Love
like
that
when
show.
like when Turtle got those shoes, you know, from that graffiti artist. You know, like
Yeah, you had talked to me about something with some custom. Do you do much of that, or have you played around with that much?
I have some custom shoes that are sitting that need to be done right now. But you know what I need at this point is I need another studio. Since the breakup, I just moved out and I rented an apartment that was close to them so I could be there for my daughter. Mm-hmm. And so we're just kind of readjusting to that. And what I'm doing now is waiting out the lease until I buy a property, and I'm looking at buying like what I want now, ironically enough, being from the south side of Chicago, is I want a big piece of land, like almost farmland, to where that's already got a big shop on there. You know, like so, you see a lot of them that
pole
are
barn or something.
Yeah, something big enough for a semi, and then I want that to be my shop, and then I'll get to other projects like that, man. I don't want to be doing that in a small
There's
apartment.
so many people, like I know, like TikTok's huge with people customizing shoes. I see that on there all the time.
Yeah,
It's crazy what the shoe game's done these days.
There's a dude that I follow on Instagram called Rally Restorations out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and he's just a beast, man. And then another dude here locally, man, you know who Les Luger is? Like,
sounds familiar.
Man, he just did a song. He's a local rapper, and he just did a song with one of Nipsey Hussle's guys, man.
Wow.
He went out there and recorded this song, man. But he does custom shoes, and he's putting it out live, and he's really good at it. And I've done them before, and I was pretty successful with it. But lately I've been focusing more on the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm just going to keep doing is what's working. I'm just going to keep networking. I don't have any major projects that I
it's
can't.
hard to network with everything closed down. Too,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Besides social media.
I don't have any major projects per se lined up that I can talk about just yet. But like I had mentioned earlier, that I hired my last boss, the one I quit, and when I quit, we did it. Initially, it was on good terms, but then later it wasn't. I stopped liking him for a while. Well, I did, man. I stopped liking him for a while, and then he approached me like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And then
hashed it out.
Yeah, not only hashed it out, man, but you know what? He's just a great friend, man. His name's Mike McCormick, and he's just a great friend. He's a great person, and aside from a friend, he never gives me bullshit when it comes to business. And so I hired him to sell for me. And our ideas are pretty big, because like I've got some contacts out with a hospital out in Denver. We're looking at them, and for whatever reason on Facebook, man, if you go through my followers, I got a really good following out in the Kansas City area for some reason.
Interesting. It's good you're looking at that stuff.
Yeah, and so
a lot of people don't pay attention to that,
I absolutely do, man. I don't just click. If they request me, I want to see where you at. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? I'm not letting no bots in if I can help it.
Yeah.
And so, but even just recently, like some businesses out in Kansas City are starting to reach out to me, and so I'm going to use that as an opening, man, because especially now that I've got a following out there, it's easy with everything that I've got done to prove that I can do what I say, but also coming with a following in that region, anyways. Like here, you're automatically going to get likes. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
People are automatically going to see your business.
And
People matter.
And I don't know how far you want to how you want to handle things. Sometimes people don't like to do the whole ad thing, but obviously you could do share some of your work and put a little bit of ad money behind it, in the Kansas City area.
Yeah, and that will come. That will come. But just like with anything else, there's stages to this stuff.
For sure.
Because this when I started out, it wasn't everything that you see now, man. I wasn't even. Matter of fact, when I first started out, I wasn't even on Facebook. I was killing it on LinkedIn. I've got like.
LinkedIn's great for connecting with other businesses.
I've got like almost 10,000 local followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome. I think that's where you first touched base with me. Actually, was on LinkedIn. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, that could very well be. That's how I got out at the fair. Was LinkedIn. One of the guys that was in charge of the team that was writing all the marijuana laws, medicinal and recreational, hit me up to give him a bid to paint his house. But then he had a friend of the family that owned a construction company that, you know, shot my bid out of the water. Yeah. But he still liked me. So like that table that you had mentioned earlier that you seen I did, that's his kitchen table, man. Nice. They're having every meal at that table, and I did some other furniture for him. The fireplace that you seen me do, that's in his house. You know, and then, you know, every time he needs something random, he calls me back. He's like the last guy that I still will go and do random repairs for and very small stuff, because he's been such a huge supporter.
That's cool. Well, it's good you do that, you know.
Yeah. Matter of fact, so I did another piece in the middle of downtown that rocked for a little while, a giant REK piece on 3rd Street. It was right after the tornadoes had hit in 2019, like literally like the weekend after. Yeah. And so when I colored in, and the letters REK were like 14 and a half feet tall by like 40 feet wide. Wow. And I colored them all in with like these colorful swirls, because we were so scared of the tornadoes. Because I mean, that year there was like 250 plus tornadoes that went across the nation. You know, and one of them touched down, you know, just like a couple miles from my house. You know, and destroyed people's properties that we know. And so I put all these colorful swirls on there, and he was the one who even got me that wall. He was at the legislative office across the street. And he seen it. He took a picture of it, and it said,
"Where's it at? 3rd Street."
Yeah, you know where Jeremy's barbershop is on Monroe. If you go down to 3rd Street where the tracks are, it was on that building right there.
Oh, okay.
It was just but on 3rd Street.
I love, you know, one of the reasons we sponsored the like Art Association Dancing with the Stars thing was I know it's, you know, right now it's tough for a lot of businesses. We've been very blessed that we never had to shut down, and we've did well last year. So I figured it would help them out or whatever. But on the same token, like, they are definitely like doing a lot of stuff, helping the city in a lot of ways that, like, I just love when like cities cover like they just did an underpass over there on what is that, 9th or whatever.
Yes.
I just love that. Like, why? It's just an underpass. Why not put some art on it? You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And you know, being out in Colorado, I spent a lot of time out there, and they even like paint their like electric boxes, like, you know, all this random stupid stuff that's just sitting around. Why not make it all art? You know what I mean? Why not turn it into art? I think
there's a great potential for that, because once they move those train tracks like they're planning on doing, that's actually going to be a bike path. The tracks that go down 3rd Street right now.
I heard that, yeah.
That's going to be a bike path.
And cool.
I tried to propose to the mayor once already, but he wouldn't even give me the time of day. I tried to propose that to him.
Like, you know, on the buildings on the side?
Yes, why not? All the way down the whole path.
That'd be awesome.
That would make us a tourist attraction. You know what I'm saying? People would come from artists would come from around the world
to work on it.
To work on that. That would improve our local economy so much.
Yeah.
And then just give us, like, man, who knows what they're going to create? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, man, the possibilities are endless.
It's frustrating when you have like good ideas, but people won't pay attention to them.
Yes.
Or don't take you seriously.
Yes.
You know, I struggled with that for a long time, just with my business in general. Like, what I was doing was different, you know, doing the social media and video stuff. You know, when I left Ace Sign Company, it was to start this business because I saw where video was going with social media, and I was like, everybody's going to need this.
And that's what when I looked at your stuff, that's what impressed me, was like, your podcast is right on video, whereas other people's, you see it, it's not right on video.
Yeah, and it's hard for some people to do both. And for us, it was tough at first because we had to invest a lot of time into it, but now we've streamlined things a lot more to where literally when we're done here, I'm going to have the file ready. I can just go upload it. Like, it's edited. It cuts back. He cuts back. Ryan over here is cutting back and forth between us. So I'll probably go ahead and get that up. So my goal this year is to try to do one a week.
No, man, look at that. So, that's the hair is really standing up my arms. Like, I love when people are doing stuff like that. Like, just get it out
and again,
there, man.
I don't know how many people are watching this, but it's fun. Like,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people are watching right now, because I mean, the goal needs to be 10 years from now. You know, where are you going to be, or even just shorter, 5 years from now?
Yeah.
How many people are watching?
And I just love these conversations. I've learned so much about you, and I've already met so many new people. Like, we had this guy on the other day that a couple weeks ago that set the freaking record for the Ozark Trail. He ran this Ozark Trail. It was like, how long? Like 300 miles or something? 200
I think
miles.
Right,
his name was Joe, and he set the record for the fastest known time of like three days or something. I'm like, 3 days you were running this thing?
I think I read that because that actually happened a while ago. That was the actual accomplishment wasn't recent, was it?
No, I think it was like, I think it was maybe a year ago or something.
Yeah, I was say, I think I read that.
Doing all these crazy ultra marathons, running all these crazy distances right here in Springfield. And then I had a Shell, a music artist. Dude. She's like out in California.
When I was scrolling down, I was like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's just fun.
I had no idea she was from Springfield.
Yeah, and it's just fun trying to find these people that are doing cool stuff or own a business, like learning about how they got started. Like I just love both sides of that and meeting new people and connecting. Like when else do you get to sit here and have a like hour conversation with somebody unless you like really make an effort to make that happen?
Unless you're in a bar and they spit in your lies.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's been fun doing it, man. So well, what's the best way? I mean, people to find you. What's your Instagram? Rec Services?
Yeah. I mean, you can go on any social media. Just put this hashtag REK Services. Yeah. Hashtag REK Services. You can put that into anything. I mean, and at this point, you know, where I'm at in life, you can call me directly at 217-503-7452. You know, I got, that's it. Those two things.
Anybody that needs either some cool custom art, you know, graffiti art, or just painting, right? You said you did
absolutely.
Commercial painting.
House painting. I mean, besides the house painting. Oh, actually, I got one other cool thing about what's happening. So, REK Services actually sponsors a race team. We actually sponsor dart racing.
What kind of racing is that?
Dirt track racing.
Okay.
And so this year, I'm actually going to get behind the wheel.
Really?
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. I'm going to get behind the wheel. We're just talking about
what kind of cars are those? Are they like little?
They're all different ones. It depends on the races that you get in, and so we're small. I'm there at this point. I'm their only sponsor at this point. So we're small. We're doing what we can, but we're having a lot of fun and we're bonding, man. And that's the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds fun.
So. The cars vary. We've gone through several cars already, and so they're different. Like right now, we got a Mustang.
Where do you race them at?
All over. Depends on where the races are. Like we got one. The one that I'm gonna race in is in Iowa. So we're gonna pack up. We're gonna go out there, and pretty much everything that we do at some point in all of our careers involved revolves around that little race team. That really that's not even winning a lot of races, but we're having a lot of fun.
That's all that matters, man.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. We're learning, and we're learning about each other, and we're supporting each other, and that's what's really cool, man.
And that's back to just with the podcast. Like someone said to me, like, is it worth your time doing that? And I said, well, I mean, monetarily, it's not. Like, I'm not like charging people to be on here. If anything, I should probably be paying people to be on here. But people come and join me just because they're down to talk and get out there. And it's I was like, I just like doing it.
And that's it, man.
I love learning. Most of it, honestly, is learning about just the people, but also like I learned so much just from talking to you, from the spray paint caps, how the process works. You know what I mean? I'm just literally. People ask me, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, we're just going to have a conversation, man.
Yeah.
I don't really plan questions. I do a little bit of research on people. That's why they're
on
the thing.
I wasn't planning on getting behind the wheel of a race car. I'm not. Prior to this, I'm not even a race fan.
Yeah. That's fun, though.
They wanted me to paint really the car. It's the father and sons that are.
Did you paint it?
Yeah.
Is there a picture?
There might be. I mean, it's pretty choppy. It's just I'm not sure. Let me see. If anything, that's going to be on my Instagram.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, but they they just wanted some paint work done. They wanted some stripes and some numbers and stuff like that. And I know the dad because he was one of the first guys that ever hired me as an independent contractor. And man, I just I just love the dude, man.
That's awesome.
I love the dude. Man, not just him. I love his whole family, man, and his whole family loves me right back. Anytime I need something, like I had some trouble with my truck one day, and. Not just helped me out, man. They cleared their schedules and were there first thing in the morning as soon as the sun came up.
Wow.
They're like, let's get you going. You got a family to take care of.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like that's some real shit, man. That you're not going to get everywhere,
For sure.
Yeah. So it's been a cool journey, man. Everything that you see me do isn't extremely lucrative. Some of them are very lucrative. Like I just got done taking almost 2 months off. Especially after the whole breakup that I went through. It was tough, man.
Reset.
Yeah, and that's just it. But I was able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was able to do that, man. So it's been a journey, man. And
it is for sure. I mean, I remember I was doing a lot of the videos I was doing were either free or so cheap, you know what I mean, just to get out there and so people see like what's going on and look at these videos, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
Just slowly built up, and now people realize like what we're doing is helping their business grow tremendously, you know what I mean? And I feel super. You know, you're saying you're getting emotional. Like I get emotional, like just knowing that we're helping these businesses grow and the local economy grow.
That's a good river to be standing in, for sure.
So it feels good, man. Well, Ron, it was awesome to have you on. Thank you so much for coming. You're doing such awesome art, and I plan on definitely having you do some stuff for me and in Ootbox in the future. Everybody, hit Ron up, REK Services.
Hashtag REK.
Hashtag REK Services. Is that like your handle also?
Yeah, that's on anything that you go on. That's all my business certificates and everything. It's officially hashtag REK Services.
So check his stuff out if you haven't looked at him as an artist, man. He's got. If you probably saw some of it here, but go check his pages out and everything like that. And any of your painting needs. And we'll link, obviously, below on any of this stuff, too, to his social media and all that stuff. So, Ron, man, you're doing great things. I love your art.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
This was a great time. I'm glad this happened, seriously.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, listening, however you're tuning in.